Today we discuss about the craniopharyngioma and the management and principle and the recent advantage in the craniopharyngioma. So, real introduction, it is only the 3 to 5% of the primary brain tumors. It's mainly occur in the pediatric patients, which consist of the 50% of pediatric supracellular tumors. There is no male to female gender ratios there. These 70% are having a combined cellular and intercellular component. Complete intercellular components are very rare. Preoperative evaluations include complete endocrine evaluations to uncover the hyperpituitarism, particularly growth hormone, cortisols, and thyroid functions. Imaging include the X-rays, which shows the irregular specular calcification seen just above the cellular trachea, semicircular shells outlining the wall of the cystic lesions, fine flakes, calciums, dense calcification, or the calcification may be seen in a cyst wall or with a solid component. Next, imaging includes the MRI. The MRI include T1, T2. T1 it shows the hypodense lesions, and in T2 it is hyperintense. It can be a multicystic, multilobular, enhanced strongly with on contrast enhancement. It has a both cystic and solid component, and sometimes it rarely may having a completely solid component. Classifications of these tumors can be intracellular, which is completely infradermatic. Second grade is it occupies some systems without any intracellular component, and grade 3 is it component in the lower half of the third ventricle. Grade 4 is it's there in the upper half of the third ventricle. Grade 5 is reaching up to the septum pellucidum and up to the lateral ventricle. Therapeutic goals is to cure the disease with functional preservation and restoration. Surgical ideal approach varies depending upon the location of the tumor or with respect to cella, chiasma in the third ventricle. Anterior midline approach, which is a transsphenoidal approach, it is usually done in a grade 1 and grade 2 lesion, which decreases the risk of visual injury. It is difficult to do in young children because of the non-pneumatized sphenoid sinus, and there is high chances of the CSF leak. Anterior midline approach includes subfrontal approaches, which are mainly done for the third and type 4 tumors with a chiasmal dissection of the tumor. The potassium violation of the frontal sinus is the major complication. Damage to the olfactory tract is another complication, and this is technically more complicated for the fixed chiasmal lesions. Anterolateral approach, this is the approach which is mostly done in our institute and done widely all over the world. It facilitates the dissection of the intracellular, supracellular, chiasmatic and retrochiasmatic tumors. But main difficulty is it restricted the view to the contralateral opticocarotid triangle, contralateral retrocarotid space, and the ipsilateral hypothalamic wall. Anterolateral approach also includes the orbitozygomatic approach, which expands on terminal approach. There is a significant, it is usually done those with a significant supracellular component. Transpectoral approach is mainly done for the large retrochiasmal tumors. Interventricular approaches, transcallosal, transventricular approaches are mainly done those tumors which reaching up to the foramen Monro, causing a dilatation of foramen of Monro. The main complication is the frontal lobe retraction injury. The transventricular, transcortical, transventricular approach is mainly done in those tumors which causes the hydrocephalus and can easily be done. The main complication is the seizure. Post-op seizure is the most common complication in these tumors. Laminar transventricular approach is done in those who are having a component only in the third ventricle. In these tumors, we should go at transventricular approaches, and it can be approached to the terminal craniotomy or by the subfrontal approach. Combined approaches can be done like some subtemporal and terminal approach can be used in a large retrochiasmatic lesion. Terminal plus transcallosal in those which are adherent calcified tumors within a third ventricle. In transcallosal and terminal approach, the interventricular portion of the tumor should be removed first, and then the terminal approach is only being performed if the basal portion of the tumor remain inaccessible. Radical surgery is the motive of the radical surgery in the small and the pre-chiasmatic lesions. The advantage is that this is the only treatment. There is no other treatment is required. Only the follow-ups to be required. The disadvantage is the limited number of the surgeons with adequate expertise are doing this surgery. with difficulty to assess the two risks to the individual child, or these may be impaired the quality of life due to the hypothalamic or pituitary damage, and post op diabetes in insipidus is high, up to the 95%. Limits of the surgery is to limited surgery, in which the limited surgery is done. The goal is to diagnose the patient, to drain the cyst, limited field of radiation, to limit the field of radiation, to control the hydrocephalus, to improve the vision, and to decompress the chiasm. So limited surgery plus radiation having a certain advantage. The surgery can be performed with a limited experience. The disadvantage is the decreased IQ in this patient due to the long-term side effect of the radiations, and there is only the cyst is managed, the solid part sometimes are not to be managed. The complication of radiation are there, but the diabetes insipidus incidence is very low, is up to the 5%. Endoscopic can also be done. This can be done in a grade 1, grade 2 division through the transnasal approach, to the transsphenoidal approach, to the transmaxillary approaches. The main advantage is that gross total resection can be achieved up to the 100% in maximum number of cases. Radiation therapy is done mainly when the gross total resection is not done. It can be by various ways, like conventional radiotherapy, intercavitary radiotherapy, fractionated radiotherapy, or the stereotactic radiotherapy. Stereotactic radiotherapy is having a better control with a single type of tumor, mean morbidity of 4%, mortality of 0.5%, favorable quality of life outcome, and the limitation is the radio sensitivity of the adjacent visual pathway, which should be less than 8 GRI. Stereotactic radiosurgery, like gamma knife, or the stereotactic radiosurgery which are available in the institutes. The advantage over the conventional fracture therapy is that it has a greater precision. It reduces the volume of the irradiation to the adjacent normal structures and deliver a high single dose radiations. The concerns are the vasculitis, neuropsychological changes, and decreased visual field due to the increased susceptibility of the optic nerve to the radiation. Intercavitary radiation is another mode by the beta emitting inotropes. The complication includes the panhypothyroidism, diabetes insipidus, CNS, and visual dysfunctions. Morbidity and management of the complications could increase inter and post-operative morbidity is diabetes insipidus, hypoaldosteronism, hypothyroidism, hyperpituitarism, visual field loss, major visual field changes, memory loss, personality changes, kidney nerve deficit, epilepsy, anosmia, and positional vertigo. Hypothalamic damage can occur, which may lead to the increased appetite and weight gain. Apathy might be there, sleep disturbance, memory disturbance, and hyperphagia and obesity. The long-term morbidity in adult patients is 5-fold increase, high risk of mortality due to the cardiovascular mortality. Conclusion is conclusive treatment is remain a matter of debate. When GTR is not an option, then subtotal resection should be advised along with the radiotherapy. Most importantly, the treatment of craniopharyngioma is complicated both surgically and medically. Thank you.